um, person that will be presenting is Pranav. Pranav Sethi is a late diagnosed adult with autism and has been running a small Instagram account and a Facebook account on autism advocacy, which goes by the name The Boy Who Grew Up as an Aspie. He is a postgraduate and currently employed with a manufacturing unit. Since his diagnosis, he has been writing about various instances from day to day life and how his autism impacts his daily functioning. He also talks about his struggles and about navigating through this neurotypical world. Pranav, over to you.
Good evening. I I'm sorry. I have a very bad throat. I recently recovered from COVID, and I'm glad that Rakshita called me today morning because I am not in a good shape to. I mean, the COVID fatigue and it's just taken its toll on me. But thank you, Rakshita, for that call. And I'm glad that I came over here and seeing so many people. It's really nice. I have a presentation I wanted to share with you. I will be talking about relationships. Now?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So, like Rakshita said, I was diagnosed quite late in my life, and I'm glad what Devrupa explained in the beginning. It's kind of similar for me also. I cannot say it's exactly like that, but yes, till the diagnosis came, it always felt like living a lie, and I can't explain it further. But I'm glad that I got the diagnosis. I was in therapy for almost 3 years, and I never went in therapy for, considering that I'm on the spectrum. I went for depression and anger issues, and I came out with this diagnosis. And believe me, that was the best day of my life, the best day of my therapy, that I finally have some answer. Since that day, I was like just started to read, started to learn about autism. Finally, I was able to start my own blog. Here I write about, just things from my own life. I cannot justify it for any other autistic person because no two autistic people are going to be the same. But, the blog actually helped me to express with whatever capacity I have and find people like me out there who are also, going through something similar. And because of this, couple of other autistic people, we were able to start with a small WhatsApp group where we all it's a kind of a support group where we all message stuff, that are bothering us, and where we have an audience who actually understand what we are going through. So I'll be talking about friendships and relationships on the spectrum. I'm nearly 30. Actually, I am 30. I'm going to be 31. So I guess I have been through a couple of relationships in the past. And most of these relationships were before I got diagnosed. And, each and every relationship started to fail. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about, relationship with friends, with family. And there was a pattern coming out of it. And, it made me think that, I should go for therapy. I mean, there is something wrong. I need to work on this. I cannot just continue with such bad relationships. And that is how I started with therapy. That is how I got my diagnosis. So, like I said, relationships could be with anything, with anyone, with friends, family. It could be a romantic one with your colleagues where you are working. It could be with inanimate objects, could be with a teddy bear, could be with a pillow, with animals, with plants. any kind of connection you have, for me, it's a relationship. It could be with anything, but today we will be mostly talking about, the 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 relationship with human beings. So any kind of relationship with another human being is complex. It's extremely complex, and for an autistic person, it's I don't know, but it's really something difficult for them to navigate their way through, because all these relationships, they have hidden messages. People say something, they mean something else. It's really difficult to just navigate your way around it. There are communication issues, like Devrupa was saying earlier, the names that she have been called, and how she still find it difficult to express things. uh, that is there. We have limited communication, and every time I try to communicate, I know I'm not doing justice to what I am actually thinking or feeling, because it feels like I'm just sharing the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's still there and no one has any idea how big it is. So those communication issues, they exist in any kind of human to human relationship. And then all these relationships are demanding. They they demand your time, they demand your energy, they demand space, and you already have very limited you know things to give. And out of that, any kind of relationship, it it will demand a lot from you. A lot of energy will be spent on it. And a major issue with relationships is that there is hardly any space. There's lack of personal space. And for an autistic person, you need your space. You need to recharge your batteries, because every day is a struggle for people like us. We it's like, when you come back home, you lie on your bed, you don't just relax. It's like, you are plugging yourself in to recharge yourself for the next day, because it's going to be the same. It's been like this from the day you were born. It it's you know this personal space people don't understand. And any neurotypical will, I don't know, most of the neurotypical world will never understand, because they have never felt it. And like I said, there is complexity of emotions. People say something, they mean something else, they want to do something. It's like, they will say two, they will mean four. They will, you know, you will hear six, they will demand you to do eight, and something else will happen. So it's like this. It's not easy navigating your way around any kind of relationship. And because of this, because of such relationships, it becomes overwhelming. And when you get overwhelmed, it is always followed with either a shutdown or a breakdown, or whatever you want to say. It becomes difficult. And like I said, the neurotypical world will never understand what an autistic person is going through, because it is not their reality, it is my reality, it is our reality. And it is something very unique to us. It took me years to understand what I am going through, what is actually happening to me. And I mean, like I said, the best day of my therapy was the day I got diagnosed, because that day I realized, whatever is happening, it is not my fault. I am like that. I'm designed like that. I can't help it. So, how I manage these relationships? Um, Before I started with therapy, I, I mean, like I said, all of my relationships were failing miserably. Like, it felt like a slap on my face, every time I talk to someone. So after therapy, I started to I started to understand my own emotions, my own feelings. I started to name them, because before therapy, all I realized was, like, I just have two feelings: anger and happiness, and there is nothing in between. But after therapy, I started to talk about things. Started to communicate with whatever capacity that I have. And it is not like, um, like I said, I don't do proper justice to what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to express, because I don't actually have words to put my feelings to my in words. It's so difficult for me to communicate. And especially, when you are going through something like, I like I said, I recently recovered from COVID, and I'm still, you know in that, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and I'm finding it difficult to put my thoughts over here. But it's it's not easy. But you have to speak up. It is very important that you communicate with whatever capacity you have. You try to explain your partner, your friends, your family, what you want, what are your needs, and what you are going through, what you are feeling. Just communicate with whatever capacity you have. Make them understand your condition. This is very important. People need to understand what autism is all about. Unless and until they understand autism, they read about it, they do some research about it, they will have no idea how things are for an autistic person. It takes time, it takes a lot of energy. People don't have that much of time with them, but efforts have to be made. And if someone is not making any effort, you are losing your battle over there. So help people understand what autism is all about. Time management, this is very important. uh, you know Having a schedule or a timetable for a daily, for your daily chores, not just relationship, for everything, it will help you out in the long run. It will, you know help you relax. It will reduce your anxiety, and it keeps your anxiety at bay, actually. So time management is very important, and all the relationships, they require time. So people who understand what autism is all about, their friends, their family members, their romantic partners, they need to understand that you have to manage your time, and they also need to respect that for you. Because the moment you are off your schedule, the anxiety will set in. It will become overwhelming. You may end up doing things which you never intend to. People get hurt, and it all goes down the drain after that. So having a schedule and time management in a relationship is very important. There is a lot of unlearning and learning. I never realized that people can actually unlearn. For majority of my time, I was diagnosed at the age of 28. I'm nearly 31 now. So for the first 27 years of my life, I never realized that I can actually unlearn anything. After my therapy, I realized that it is important that I have to let things go. I have to change myself. I have to change certain behavior. As an autistic individual, I've been masking my entire life. I still mask. There is no escape from it. But the amount of masking you do actually, drains you. So unless and until you understand yourself, I was telling my mom a few days back that, they in any kind of an interview, people asked, tell me about yourself. And we have prepared that answer in our head beforehand, because we know they will ask, and we know what needs to be answered to them. So we lie. But we need to understand who we actually are. What are our positives and negatives? What are our pros and cons? How we actually survive on a daily basis? We need to understand that, and that's very important. So you learn about yourself, you learn what is wrong, and you unlearn that. So I realized this thing that, any kind of relationship, I have to be honest. In a romantic relationship, the day I start talking to someone with whom I have some feelings, on the day one itself, I try to, explain it to them that I am autistic and this is the reality. Because, no relationship will exist on a pillar of lie. Because, if you start lying today, you have to continue with that lie for forever. And, it takes time and energy to build on that. And you have to keep, you have to remember all the facts and figures, whatever you have given out on day one itself. So that is where the unlearning part comes in. You understand how you function, you realize what is wrong, what things you have been doing incorrectly, you unlearn them, and you start sharing, communicating with, with your friends and your family. If they are if they are in any capacity that, they respect you, they will understand. Or else you are a better judge of the reality. I don't have to explain it further. And remember, if you are going through any kind of relationship, there will be certain days when you will be overwhelmed and there will be shutdowns. It's a natural process. You cannot avoid it. All you can do is that, you can gather people who can support you through it. The list will be small. There won't be many people around to understand and help you out. But there will be people. It's not that you're going to be alone, but the number of those people will be quite less. So shutdowns are natural. It's okay. Any kind of relationship, there is a potential, there's a probability that it will happen. And the better you understand yourself, the better you are able to manage your shutdowns. So autistic people can develop relationships. Uh, Sounds funny to few people, but yes, it is true. Autistic people can have relationships with other human beings, and there can be romantic relationships also. Autistic people can have their own family. They can, share time with their spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It all can happen. It all exists. It already is there. Many people out there are undiagnosed autistic, and they are also managing some or the other way. So why is it difficult for, when you know that you are an autistic and you can have a relationship? The only thing that matters is the world need to accept us, people like me. The world need to accept people like me, and there need to be more advocates. This is very important. This entire month was about autism. I was, uh, I was almost bedridden for a few days, but I was able to see what is happening out there on social media, and I saw so many different, programs where non-autistic people are coming and saying things and, talking and describing about autism, and I'm like, this doesn't help. You need to hear from an autistic individual what autism is all about, because our experience, my experience, is unique to me, and you need to understand how it is, you know how it is like to live life on the spectrum. Something that, the world has forgotten is empathy. People need to empathize. Sympathy, everyone can sympathize. Empathy is what actually matters. Many people say that autistic individuals are emotionless. I've been called that, and for a major part of my life, I was thinking that I actually am emotionless. But no, my you know I am quite sensitive. I also have emotions, and I feel more than most of the people clubbed together. It's just that my response to emotion is different than yours. That doesn't mean I'm emotionless. I too have emotions. I am sensitive, and all I demand from the rest of the world is that you also need to step into our shoes and just live our life if you can, and that will probably uh, make life of other autistic people easy, because I alone cannot fight. I need support. So the people with whom we develop our relationship, they need to support us, they need to empathize with us. Then only this can happen. That is all I have to share. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a nice, good talk.